the Doctor Who Solitaire story game, you are the Doctor. You will visit exotic times and places. You will encounter strange alien life forms, and some less alien, but no less strange.
Captain Jack Harkness.
Stop it.
Can I say hello to anyone?
And meet some life forms with a seriously unpleasant disposition.
Exterminate!
The main components of the game are 4 books, available as PDFs to download for free from the games page on BoardGameGeek.com and the dedicated Yahoo group. The paragraphs in each book start with a different letter, so you know which to refer to. The first is the rules book, with paragraphs starting with R. The other 3 are the adventure book, A paragraphs, event book, E paragraphs, and enemy book, V paragraphs. You also need a way to record your adventures, paper or a text editor, and a couple of ordinary 6-sided die. We start with the adventure booklet at paragraph A400. There's an introduction, and then we're told to determine our qualities and traits in R301. You have 3 qualities: brains, brawn and bravery. You want these qualities to be as high as possible, because when you're asked to roll against a quality, you succeed if you roll equal to or less than your quality on 2 dice. The base values are 10, 4 and 7. I can add 5 to them, but no more than 3 to any one quality. I'll make my Doctor have brains 11, brawn 6 and bravery 9. Now I have to pick 8 traits. If a paragraph says to do a trait roll, then I have to roll greater than or equal to the number that was given, and every trait that I've got that's listed adds 1 to that roll. I'm going to pick aware, charisma, engineering, history, running, of course, science, thief and trekking. Finally, I start with 4 luck points. Back to A400, where we see if there is anything lying around the console by rolling a d6. I rolled a 4, so I look in the events booklet for paragraph E183. Aha! My trusty sonic screwdriver. It gives me +1 brawn when I'm fighting against a machine, the engineering trait, and +2 to any escape or rescue rolls. Okay, back to A400. The TARDIS has materialised. For my first adventure there were only 6 possibilities, but later I could end up anywhere. I roll the die and get a 1. A401. I've landed in the exotic locale of Earth 2005, London. Oh well. The special text tells me that if this is my first adventure, my first character event will automatically be E090. Gee, I wonder who I might meet in London. And when the enemy is revealed, I get an additional +1 DM. I'll explain about DM later. Wait for that. Sounds like everyone's a bit, not that aware around here. Oh well, big city life. Happens. Every adventure has a table like the one below, which determines what happens to me in this adventure. The codes direct me to various paragraphs in the event book and the enemy book. The game is played in a series of turns. Each turn in the game I will perform 1 action. Then I'll roll to see if I have an encounter. Then repeat. Action, encounter, action, encounter. This goes on for up to 12 turns. If I haven't defeated the bad guy by the end of the 12th turn, then they have succeeded in their nefarious plan, and I slink off back to the TARDIS, if still alive, and cogitate on the unchangeability of certain fixed points in time and space. In other words, I lose. But that isn't going to happen, is it? Of course not. A little rule often overlooked is that I immediately check for an encounter on landing. To do that, I roll on the encounter matrix. I roll 2 dice, and since this is turn 0, I haven't really started yet. If I roll 9 or more, I will have an encounter as I step out the door. I rolled 4, so no encounter for me. There are 12 possible actions described in R306, but many of them are situational, like escape capture, while others can only be done after I know more about the enemy. Pretty much every adventure starts with exploring, which frankly makes sense. For most actions, I roll on a table like this one from the rulebook. I rolled a 6, which becomes a 7 thanks to my tracking trait. No effect. Now for the encounter matrix. I rolled a 6, so nothing happens. Just strolling along, humming to my sonic screwdriver. Turn 2. I'll explore again. This time I rolled a 7, which becomes 8. Yes, I've met someone. Now, if you remember, my first character event is E090, so I looked that up in the events book. Rose Tyler. She's smart, not as smart as me, of course, but who is? Pretty tough and brave, and not bad traits. You usually have to roll to see if the character will join you for an adventure, but Rose jumps right in. 2 extra luck points, yes! Make a brains roll with +1. Okay, she has brains 5, so I have to roll 6 or less on 2 dice. I rolled 6. She knows something, so I roll for a plot event. This turn is going much better. Before I go back to the adventure for the plot roll, I notice that Rose has 2 friends. I note down these paragraph numbers because I can use a move action to go and visit these characters if I wish. Back to the table in the adventure. I'm rolling for a plot event, and I rolled a 4. So I look along the plot line and see E166. Then look that up in the events book. Alien hoax. Rose was good to notice this, but unfortunately she and I together don't have quite enough brains to actually figure out anything. Right, encounter matrix again. I rolled a 4, so nothing happens. Turn 3. And this turn I think I will use the move action to visit one of Rose's friends. Move can be useful to go to a particular location, or gather your group back together, or visit a friend like now. I have to roll an 8 or better and can add tracking. I'll try to visit Mickey. I rolled a 9, so I track him down and look up the event paragraph from Rose's description. You have encountered Mickey Smith, Rose's sometime boyfriend. I record his details and then see if he knows anything. I'll have to roll 4 or less, so probably not. A 3! Well done, Mickey! Mickey. Back to A401. I'm rolling on the plot line. Again this time. I get a 5 and look up E157. Mickey is noticing people are missing. I'll note down the +1 DM. I will explain that soon, promise. But the immediate bonus is being able to do a new action, investigate. That's more likely to bring results. Now Mickey is an ally, so he's just around for this adventure, unlike Rose, who is a companion and will come with me on the next adventure. At the end of the adventure I can use some luck points if I want to make it possible for Mickey to become a companion too. Encounter time. This time I roll an 8, which is greater than 7, and it's turn 3, so I have an encounter. You can see that the encounter matrix is structured so that as time moves on, encounters are more likely, and the type of encounter changes more towards the enemy. I roll a 3, so looking down I get an event 1. I roll on the event 1 line in the adventure and get a 3, so I look up E075. Code 9, blue box. Someone has recognised the TARDIS. I roll a 2, so I go to E031. You have encountered 1d6 + 1 unit troops. Make a charisma 8 roll, adding any unit. I don't have the unit trait, so I roll 2d6 and add my charisma, which I have 2 of between Rose and myself, and I want a result greater than 8. I get a 7, which becomes a 9, so I succeed. If no enemy is here, you make the roll and have a unit. They join as allies. Roll for plot event. If you do not have a unit, they will leave. Yeah, it seems they don't know me in my current regeneration, so I wave nicely and let them look after the TARDIS while I get on with the real job. On to turn 4, and this time I will investigate. Rose and I each have aware, so this should be good. Oops, 3, which becomes 5. You may encounter some trouble and encounter enemies. Roll for an enemy event. Looks like I've bumped into the bad guys. Sometimes an event will tell you to reveal the enemy, and then you've discovered who they are without them noticing you. But an enemy event means I run smack into them. Back to the adventure table where I roll on the enemy line and get a 4, V504. Now, what enemy do you expect me to meet on my first visit to London with Rose in tow? Well, if I'd rolled a 2, B500, you'll be right. That's one of the neat things about this game. An adventure can turn out exactly like one of the television episodes, but it probably won't. But it still retains the same feel. Okay, V504. So the enemy I am facing is the Sycorax. You have encountered the Sycorax, bloodthirsty alien warriors that dominate weaker races and enslave them. I roll a 1, so there are only 2, and no leader. Now I roll a 4, so no shaman. I roll for blood control, 3 and 5, so no worries there. Before I face them, I want to explain the DM and this goal business. The DM is the defeat modifier and represents how capable I am of defeating the enemy. I start each adventure with a DM of 0, but I cannot defeat them until my DM is greater than or equal to the enemy's gold number. This is called opposing. That 0 you can see there isn't the enemy gold number. That's the enemy's DM. I find out the goal number by looking up one of those paragraphs after the word goals. But not yet! When I discover the enemy, 4 things happen. First, the enemy's DM is added to my DM. So in this case, 0 is added, which leaves my DM at 2. 1 from Mickey's plot event and 1 from revealing the enemy, as listed in the adventure paragraph. An easier monster will have a higher DM. A tougher monster, a negative DM. Secondly, all new enemy events are with this enemy. I don't roll on the adventure table again, just come back to the same enemy page. Thirdly, all new plot events are goal events. From now on, if I have to roll on the plot line of my adventure, instead I roll on the goal line in the enemy description. So in this case, if I rolled a 2, I would look up E174. Lastly, I have 2 new actions: investigate, which I could already do luckily, and seek information. These are more likely to give me clues and lead me to the enemy's goal. But first I have to get away from this bunch of sickos. I don't want to fight these guys, so let's try hiding. I need a Thief 8 roll, and I have Thief, so I have to roll 7 or better. 9! Ha! Now if I want, I can follow. I roll a 9 and look up E082. You have discovered somewhere vital to the enemy. I roll a 2 and add 1 for following. I found their secret base, and since I know the enemy, I can find the goal. This is really good. Normally this can take several more turns. So I now roll on that goal line in the enemy description. I roll a 5 and look up E165. Alien invasion, goal 4. You realize that the enemy are planning an invasion. Gain +2 DM if you have brains 25. No good there. 3 turns after this goal is revealed, gain a -1 DM penalty. Increase the number of enemies in the next enemy encounter by 2 and roll 1d6. I roll a 1, so that's the end of it. Now that I know the goal 4, more things happen. That goal 4 is the enemy's goal number that I was looking for. I now know how much DM I need to oppose. In this case, 4. I currently have 2. Second, if I get any more instructions to reveal the goal, I get a +1 DM instead. The goal won't change, I just learn more about how to beat it. Third, I have 2 new actions. Plan, which might help me to temporarily give me a trait or increase a quality, such as brawn, so I could fight or challenge the Sycorax. And research, which might increase my DM. Lastly, rolls on the encounter table are more likely to produce enemy encounters. In this way, the game increases the pace and the tension as time goes on. I'm going to leave it there. If I succeed in the adventure, I earn luck points and can spend them to increase my qualities and traits and influence allies to become companions, and then I can head off on another adventure. Hopefully this tutorial has left you enthused and well prepared for your own journeys as the last of the Time Lords. Happy adventuring!